What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Looks like there's a bit of an emergency meeting going on at Spotify. Another tense, argumentative town hall happened last night. This is one of those things where, like, I agree that you should listen to your employees. I really do. And I think that too many bosses and companies forget that the employees are the ones that, like, make the machine go. And it's important. But when you're Spotify and your average employee makes $130,000 a year and has never punched a clock in their whole life, maybe listen to them a little less. They don't really have any real life experience. And we've seen this multiple times now where their employees get together and stamp their feet and want, their way met, completely ignoring the fact that, their salary is paid by a guy like Joe Rogan. And oh, by the way, it's curious to me that the mainstream media continues to demand his removal from the platform, even after Spotify caved and added new restrictions. It's almost like it was never about that, was it? It's almost like it was always about control. Before we get into this hilarious story, huge shout out to this video's sponsor. Huge shout out to this video's sponsor, Private Internet Access. Hey, October is Cybersecurity Month, and they've got an amazing offer for you. It's 2021. If you don't have a VPN yet, there are several reasons why you'll want to sign up today. One, you can browse anonymously. Keep your browsing habits to yourself. You can keep your data away from big tech so that they can't resell it. And you can access region-locked content so you can open up a whole new catalog of online content to enjoy, whether it's anime or movies that might not be available in your area. You can get at it using a VPN. And the VPN I use on my phone, my tablets, my PCs, and my laptops is Private Internet Access, and they've given an amazing offer. It's just $1.98 a month with 4 months free with a 3-year subscription. If you haven't signed up today, use my link in the description or pinned comment down below to get Private Internet Access today. You see, the New York Times printed today, in opinion, Joe Rogan can continue to air misinformation. Spotify can continue to look the other way. Roxanne writes in a guest essay, "Today, at least, I won't," she says of her decision to remove her podcast and its archives from Spotify. Never heard of ya. Maybe you had a huge audience. I don't know. And most of the replies are, and like, look at this tweet. It only has 1,000 likes from the New York Times. And look at the replies. Imagine still reading the New York Times, 250 likes. It's not misinformation, it's information. Here's 700 likes. The irony of the New York Times accusing anyone else of misinformation. Who is this lady? I've heard of Joe Rogan. Can't say I've heard of her. I mean, like, they're losing. You get that, right? Like, they're losing. And we have to take a minute to appreciate that sometimes. Not always. We're not going to win every battle, but they're losing this one. And we're talking about it in my Gilded right now, which is just like Discord. It's just like a chat room. And there's over 3,000 people in there right now. And I would love to see you stop over and join. Obviously, it's free. There's no money involved or anything like that. It's just a community for all of us to chat. It's bustling now. It's over 3,000 members. People are in there every minute of every day chatting about gaming, politics, hunting, cooking, whatever you want. You can find people to chat with. So in the description, there is a link to my link tree. If you click that, you'll see the link to the Gilded server. And I would love if you joined. You see, cancel culture isn't working, so they're canceling themselves. Good job, meaning the artists themselves are melting down. And like, again, where are all these people that agree with them? Here's 300 likes. I'm all for pokes and saving lives. However, I listen to Joe. He presents information from all around the world and what seems to be working. This is not misinformation. This is the U.S. medical system has one path, and anything different from that path is demonized. I mean, like, go ahead and cancel. Like, go ahead and leave Spotify. It's not going to hurt Joe Rogan. And look at all this copium. Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Bro, Crosby, Stills, and Nash just played in an anti-censorship music festival like 4 years ago. Was it 2016? I feel like they just recently played at a festival that was about anti-censorship. India Ari, don't care. Mary Trump, never heard of her. The reason that people are removing their podcasts or their music, make no mistake about it, is about clout. When's the last article that was written about Crosby, Stills, and Nash? Or the last article that was written about Neil Young? The last article is written about India Re. I'm not saying that these people have zero following, because they have large followings. But, like, what? You don't want to be on a platform that supports free speech? Like, that seems pretty hypocritical coming from a musician. Now, the Spotify CEO defends the Rogan deal in tense company town hall. He says Spotify is a platform for Rogan, but publisher for Gimlet. Spotify CEO Daniel Ek addressed employees about the Rogan controversy in a 15-minute speech yesterday, of which The Verge obtained the audio, defending the company's choice to work with Rogan, explaining its reasoning, and defining why he believes Spotify is a combination of a platform and a publisher. Isn't it funny? Like, imagine having employees who you just knew were going to leak every private conversation you had. Like, that's, I mean, I don't understand why that's tolerated, to be honest with you. That's like instant firing for me. But I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't work in Silicon Valley. Employees have been skeptically awaiting the decision of the company's regular town hall meeting for nearly a week. Since they had an escalation with Joe, the company's star exclusive podcaster, employees have been venting inside about corporate messaging. Joining Eck in person at the company's LA headquarters, dubbed Pod City, where Dusty Jenkins, Spotify's head of global communications, don't care. The event had been a long time coming, given the amount of conversation happening internally. Employees shared last week in an ongoing thread that their friends and family came to them with questions about why Spotify supported a podcaster and continued to spread coof misinformation and bring on controversial guests, while the broadcaster backlash made them feel embarrassed to work at the company, according to two sources. Yeah, real embarrassed. You have the easiest job on the planet, and you have some of the highest pays in this country. But yeah, everyone's upset, especially with the people whose initiatives directly contradict what's happening, says one current employee who asked to remain anonymous so as to not compromise their job. Why don't you quit? People are feeling increasingly frustrated that no matter what the company says messaging-wise, or no matter what people's initiatives are, it's all kind of ladders up to what's the best for Joe Rogan and the Joe Rogan audience. Well, they are paying your salaries. This person knows that people working on trying to highlight other podcasting talent or showcase diverse creators for Black History Month have seen their initiatives sidelined while Rogan captured the company's attention. The only message employees had received from leadership was Friday, 2 days after Young pulled his music. Good. They're your employees. They're not the boss. There's a reason that these are tiered. He writes, despite Rogan's show never being available on Spotify prior to the deal, the program was the most searched podcast on the platform. He says, and when the company decided to enter the podcasting industry, its catalog was not that differentiated from competitors. It had struggled to make deals with critical hardware partners like Amazon, Google, and even Tesla, given that they were building similar streaming services with essentially the same content. To combat this, we needed to find leverage, and a way we could do this was to form exclusives, he said. To be frank, we had not made some of the choices we did. I'm confident that our business wouldn't be where it is today. He says the company now operates the #1 podcast app in the United States. A publisher has editorial control over creator content. They can take action on the content before it's published, he says, like editing episodes, removing guests, or preventing one from publishing at all. Eck noted that Spotify does have editorial control over the properties it owns outright, like The Ringer and Gimlet, but emphasized distinction between those studios and Rogan. Even though the GRE is an exclusive, it is licensed content. It is important to take note that we do not have creative control over Joe Rogan's content. We do not approve his guests in advance. And just like any other creator, we get his content when he publishes. And then we review it. If it violates policies, we will take the appropriate enforcement actions. Essentially tripling down on backing Joe here. Notably, Eck did not defend Rogan's views. There are many things Joe says that I strongly disagree with and find very offensive. He adds that there are a number of JRE episodes on Spotify that have been removed because they violated the platform rules. I think it's something like 40. During a Q&A session, employees pushed back on his position. They questioned whether the platform rules are stringent enough. Well, yeah, if you can't ban him under the current rules, then create new rules so you can ban him, right? If the company's latest actions did enough to address the scientific community's concern, you mean the 100 university professors and not medical doctors, who employees work amongst advanced diversity within the company, can reckon with some of Rogan's comment, like questioning of black identity. He didn't question black identity, morons. He was simply pointing out they were talking about the words people use to describe skin tone. Anyway, Eck responded with the same messaging he employed earlier, but added that exclusivity does not equal endorsement, and that the solution to this problem might be in signing more exclusives. The real thing we try to do here is to go for an even broader set of exclusive that represents more voices. That's actually a good idea. For some employees, Eck and the team sentiments rang hollow. Throughout the town hall, they messaged internally, according to screenshots viewed by The Verge. Again, they'd be fired if I found out who that was. Expressing disappointment in the choice Spotify had made for not only signing Rogan, but also defending him. They questioned how the company considers itself a platform while still actively promoting Joe Rogan and including its logo on their cover art, and how some considered an ethical issue is being put in the pure business terms. X stuck with the message, though, ending his speech with words of encouragement to employees. So I think it's ultimately what comes to two things. First, we do believe in our mission, 50 million creators and 1 billion users. And finally, are we willing to consistently enforce our policies on even the loudest and most popular voices in the platform? And I'm telling you, I believe both. Ha! Cope and seethe more, employees. Just another double down from Spotify. They're not getting rid of them. They literally can't. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.